Hi, I'm Natalie Callback, and I'm here with Carolyn Dube for Creative Jumpstart 2019. I'm super excited that Carolyn is back with us. She did an amazing video for 2018. And if you don't know Caroline, it's about time to get to know her and let her tell you who she is, what she does, where she's coming from. Hi, Caroline.
Hello, I'm so glad to be here. So a little bit about me is I don't like rules. I don't like being told what to do. I don't like shoulds. I don't like musts. And I really like color.
Can't you
Really
tell?
like color.
I would have figured when looking at your shirt or in the background. It looks also plain and black and white.
Yes, I'm a very neutral kind of person. Looked monochromatic with the rainbow. Yeah. But for me, art is just play. It's I was wound really tightly for a lot of years, and I was really it wasn't really me. And so through play, I found like, wow, this feels so much nicer. I'm a better human being. And so I just kept doing more and more of that. So for me, creating is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
It's no musts, no shoulds, no rules, no have tos. It's just freedom. In no other way that I can get that feeling short of skydiving, and that just wouldn't be good. So for me, it's art and play.
So what is your main substrate you work on or projects you work with? Are you painting? Are you, I mean, I know, but I'm asking you to tell.
You asked me, I'm like, well, it's kind of whatever's within arm's reach. So I will, you might call it shiny object syndrome or practicality, because it's, if I've got cardboard around, I love to work on cardboard. It might be canvases, it might be wood, it might be an art journal, it might be junk mail. It might be the wall in my house, like it just whatever's around and I feel like doing, I'll go with. And the more I do this, the less I filter. So some things turn out really, how shall we say, interestingly. And some things I'm like, yeah, that's a bullseye. But some of them, they need a little more work.
So this year's theme, Creative Jumpstart, is My Home is My Castle. And as some of you might know already from the other interviews, I give my artists, they're all my artists. I give them the theme and like a little bit of an explanation what that could entitle, but then basically you guys are totally free to do whatever you want to do with the theme, and then we will see. So what I would love to know, Carolyn, what does home mean to you?
Sanctuary. It is the place that rejuvenates, replenishes. It's sanctuary from the world, from all of the things that being grown. There are some musts and shoulds when you're grown up, and home is that place that you can relax in, like really relax in, and that it's like things are around you that pick you up, that lift you up, as opposed to, well, what's out there in the world. It doesn't always do that.
That sounds awesome. I like that a lot. Sanctuary. That's so true, right? It is so true. So now let's dig a little bit deeper as the queen of everything that's colorful. And you mentioned that already a little bit, that you that no wall is safe from you. So how does like the colorfulness show up in your room, and what sort of colorful pieces did you create in your home?
Well, so one of them is that right behind me, if you can see that. That was a tree from a storm, a big branch that fell down, and I fell in love with it, to which my husband's like, all right, we're bringing the tree inside. Because of course, you spray paint it. Of course, everybody makes it, spray paints the tree limb. We put it in concrete, so it's this big tree, and so I keep putting more stuff on it, and so it's becoming very much a memory tree. So there's some garlands on there that were from when my kids did my Christmas gift, and oddballs of this and that, and it just keeps getting added on there. So over the years, just more crud and colorful stuff just gets added to it. And it is really kind of one of those nuisance things because it can't leave the room. It's really hard to move out the door, so it's kind of staying here. So I'll do stuff like that. I did a floor cloth I took it outside with a big broom and just hit with paint and spray paint, and because I needed something to protect the floor. So, nothing's really safe here. The neighbors are really actually kind of lucky because as much as I want to let go with everything, I'm not completely over the edge. I was at a graffiti park recently in Austin, and I was just in love with this. Like, it was just, and I would so love to do the outside of my house in that. I would just love to spray a bucket truck and just spray paint the entire outside. And I know that's not going to fly in our neighborhood. And it's vinyl siding, so that's a whole separate thing. But, so, I mean, I do have some restraint, but I'd like to push that line as much as I can when I'm at home because it's my house. I can do what I want with it.
I love that. I know also when we were talking a little bit beforehand in the interview, and I know that before we talked about it before, we both like to bicycle. And I think, if I recall right, I've seen you once, a couple of years ago, that you actually also stenciled and spray painted your bike, right?
Yes. Yes.
So in the neighborhood, are you known as the colorful lady?
Well, in some ways it's somewhat hidden, and some ways not. So, like, I've got a wall outside my studio that's cement, kind of like holds back the hill or something technical like that. And so I'll spray paint that. I will just go to town on that, but you can't really see it from the street. So just a few choice neighbors know what's kind of exploding around here. So it's not, because it's a very conservative, quiet little town, and so I just kind of lay low. I guess I might be seen as somewhat of a character, I guess, to go around because it's, I mean, like, why not put some color on it? I mean, I haven't done the dog in a while, so that's good. He's been safe.
I remember a couple of years ago when we were still living in Germany, like probably 10 years ago, whatever. We had a roof terrace, and I bought spray paints like for the first time, like many years ago. And I was upstairs, and I was, shaking the spray paint bottles, and it was still like, kind of like graffiti was still like not even, like nowadays I feel like it's more like people enjoy it more, and it's actually becoming more mainstream. But back then that was like, crime. So I was like upstairs on the roof terrace, and I was like actually spray painting and stenciling a planter, and people could look from other apartments like through the window. Some of them could look over, and I guess it was like very loud, like just shaking the thing. And I was like, oh my God, people are looking. I hope no one is going to call the police on me.
Well, if you're going to get arrested for something, at least make it fun.
I know. It's like, they're like, hey, this is actually my terrace. I'm allowed to do that. But it was funny. I guess I was like, oh my God. I know. So, okay, so the tree is pretty colorful. Is that the most colorful thing in your home? Me, no.
Well, I'll do things like there was one bathroom. I'm like, we need a little color in here, so we painted it lime green. And wow, whoa! Saw it in that bathroom. I'm like, yeah. I did a 40 by 80 piece of something for over the sofa. Just anything sort of fair game. It's I took some reason I really seem to be doing a lot with the bathrooms lately. But I put blue chalkboard paint all over the walls. So now it's basically a big writing space. Because when you close the door, nothing distracts you.
Yeah.
Like, it's a reading space. Which, my husband has tried to convince me of for years, calling it the reading room. But, and so there's just big chalkboard in there now. So anybody can write, or I can go in there and think, and you're all by yourself. So I'm starting to do more and more stuff like that around the house. Just practical use for space.
Do you like redoing the house, or is that important for you? Like redecorating or repainting?
I love how it looks when it's done.
You don't like the process?
Not unless it's fun painting. No, but
Yeah.
just actually painting walls. That's what my husband and children are for. Like that's, and they're like, he says, give me the can of paint, I'll go do it. Like the basement, the studio bathroom, that one I gel printed on the wall. So if I do that, it's fun, and I'm all good. Like, and I've scribbled all over. That's just kind of imagine the walls like a big art journal page.
Yeah.
So whatever I have in hand, and it's big, and you know how it feels different to work big versus small.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just like to have that whole body. You just kind of really get into it. And so I have a space for that. So we'll see what the next homeowner feels like when they buy the place.
Let me go back on that because that's so interesting. You said you gel printed your wall.
Yeah.
Is that like you put paper that you gel printed on there, or did you actually... Okay, I want to know more. Please tell us.
So it's the exact same thing, like where, you know, like when you have paint all over your gel plate and you normally say flip it over onto something, you just put it on the wall instead. I used house paint because I was like, all right, let's see this. And by the way, house paint on gel plate, like for the walls it was good, but it actually does feel different, and I don't really like it for general mixed media.
Yeah.
And color doesn't mix very well with it either. Like when they mix it, it's beautiful, but you do not mix your colors at all. Red and blue did not make purple, FYI. And but you just load it up and you just stick it on that wall and just slap it up, and it just makes the best slapping sound when you just start whack it right up there. And I'm kind of short, and you know it's not always safe to put me on a ladder with my sense of balance at times, so I'll just kind of reach for it. So you kind of have to like, you know, send it up there. So it's kind of like watching that short person try and dunk, you know, do a slam dunk. And I'm getting the gel plate up there, and in the bathroom you can actually see the line where it's as far as I can reach. Like that's where I was like, yeah, it's as far as I can. So yeah, but it is so freeing. Oh, it felt so good. I could just hear my mother in my head from when I was a kid, and you couldn't put posters on the wall because you were going to mess up the wall for the house. And I'm like, I'm so messing up the wall.
That must have been so freeing. It sounds like so much fun.
It was a rush. I mean, it was just such a rush. I'm like, yeah. And I will say that like the bathroom has these tiles along the bottom half of it. And this house was a do-it-yourselfer house before we bought it. So this was not a good tile job. Like, this is not going to cut it. And I'm like, well, alrighty then, here we go. Let's paint over it. Let's just see what happens. And so everything is fair game in that bathroom. And I'm just like, yeah. Because again, no musts, no shoulds, no rules. Yeah.
I love that. And it's also your studio bathroom. So, I mean, it's your, whatever you want to do, right? I mean, it's your studio.
Yep. I own the house. I'm like,
exactly.
Like, I can hear this chorus of relatives through the years going, do you know what that's going to do to the value of your home? Do you know how hard this is going to be to sell it? And it is just so much fun to give them the raspberries. I mean, I just absolutely stick my tongue out and go, na, 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 na. I just get it.
I think it's so interesting. We were actually looking at some open houses, my husband and I, lately. And so it was interesting to me because most of the times, even if people redid their bathroom or their kitchen for the value of the house, you looked at it and you were like, I actually almost hoped you wouldn't have done that because it's still not my taste, and I would rather buy it for less money and then just do it myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's like such a taste thing of how things are. So I'd rather have someone have a painted thing, and I'm like, you know, if I don't like it, then I'm like, I just rip it out and do my own thing. And, you know, I don't know. It's just like such a weird, like, I get it in a way, but also I'm like, sometimes just don't do anything is also okay, you know?
Because there's such great freedom in something that sucks.
Yeah.
You know,
no, I mean, I don't say it sucks. I'm just saying if that's not your taste, right, then...
But like if it's... when we redid the bathroom, like we actually had a new sink and faucet because they were not good. Like they were dilapidating.
Yeah.
It was like time. So they sucked. And the cabinet was banged up because, you know, after 25 years, like, duh.
Right.
And the fact that it stunk. I love it when things are horrible because there's such freedom in that.
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares? Like, it's like when it's like half good, then I'm in trouble. Because I'm like, I kind of like this, but I don't love it.
Well, it's the same analogy, fits to anything that you do in class or in your own artwork, right? It's like, I actually love it when students have early on, they look at something and they're like, oh my God, this is the most horrible background that I have. And I'm like, yeah, good. Because now I can actually get you to just continue without thinking you're going to save this like part of it that looks like beautiful and awesome. Because what's the purpose of a background? It's called background. It's not called foreground that you do like, or finishing touch that you do first. That's not how it works, right? So I actually love it when that happens. And I would say 99.9% of the times, just because they get freer and it's the same for myself too. You get freer and you're like, it doesn't matter if I screw it up, it's screwed up already, right? And then you do it and you do things that you might have not done anymore. You're like, doesn't matter. And then most of the times that's the favorite piece or journal page, right? So I love that.
It's like a difficult child.
Yeah.
And you have to go through all these journeys with it. And in the end, you have this incredible relationship just because of all you've been through. And the stuff that starts out ugly, I agree, so often becomes a favorite.
Right. Speaking of so often becomes a favorite or something happens in between. So Carolyn is known for her phrase, which is, I think, let me say, you say it's like your oops philosophy, right? Mm-hmm. So can you tell us a little bit about your oops philosophy and tell us when was the last time you yelled oops?
Well, oops came about when I was wound really tight. And I always heard that thing like, oh, those mistakes are just opportunities. and anytime somebody would say that to me, I was feeling violent. The urge to hit them would kind of, and I'm like, yeah, there was none of this, like, see the opportunity. I was too wrapped up in the mistake, and of course these were all like, life-altering things like a piece of paper. And so I had to find a way to just not take this so dang seriously. I mean, it's paint, it's paper.
Right.
I had so much paint and paper, and I'd make one mistake, and it was a mistake in my head, not a mistake that, the world, it was me.
Right.
And so to laugh at myself, I'm like, okay, I need to say oops. And it's outstanding opportunity presenting suddenly. And what I found is when I make that mistake, and I normally go into expletives and things that you wouldn't repeat online in a place like this, instead I started saying oops. And I couldn't say it with an angry tone. Like, I couldn't go, oops, and take myself, like, it's ridiculous. And that knocks me out of that, taking it way too seriously. And so to me, it's those mistakes they really are gifts. I mean, I get it. That exists for a reason. Those things are opportunities. But the trick is, how do you start to see them as an opportunity? How do you actually get from to the, all right, this went horribly south. Okay.
So what? Right.
Yeah, and so that's really saying oops, and it's taken me a while to get to the point where it's like, yeah, oops, like it's very casual now,
right.
Like, but and I had to really go like oops, and now it's just a part of my DNA, and so it's funny that you mentioned when did I say it last, because it wasn't that long ago, but I said it pretty vehemently. That what I do in my art, you may know this, that what we do creatively, the things that we practice, we get more comfortable with, spills out into the rest of our lives.
Right.
And has done that for me. And it's actually becoming extremely helpful in non-art things. Mm-hmm. When I mailed the mortgage and didn't put the address of the bank on it. Turns out when you put the check in the mail, you need to include the address for where it's going. Like, they just don't deliver it if it's blank. Thankfully, I put the return address, but it comes back to me. I've got the late fee, and I was just mortified as an adult that I haven't paid the mortgage. And then I'm like, okay, oops, just figure it out.
Right.
Take it, and then what are you going to do to make sure you don't do this again? Because I was paying the bills too tired. It was late. Things were chaotic. Like, yeah, take it. So I could see the opportunity.
Yeah.
Really, I just felt about like this tall. Like, 20 years, I've never missed a payment. Oh my God. It's just that.
Right.
And it's that kind of thing. So I'm noticing it spill out more places. When it happens in my art, I actually really welcome it. If it doesn't happen, I kind of miss it. Because it's adventure.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if I always know what's coming, it's kind of predictable and it takes the rush out of it. But when you don't know, it's like, yeah. So I really love it when the oopsies happen now.
That's so fun. I love that too. I also think that it's problem solving. And that's what you do when you do art. And things are not working the way, or you're not used to something, or figuring out something. You're figuring out things, and it's like problem solving, or maybe problem is the wrong word, but you're trying to find a way. And I love that you have this outlet where you don't have to be perfect, because it's something it shouldn't be, So I always say, like, we have so many parts in our life that we are trying to be so perfect, or we have to be so perfect, and why would you want to do that to yourself in your art? Like, there's no reason. Like, don't do it. like, go with the flow.
You bring up perfect. And last time I was at MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art in New York. I mean, I'm right up there looking. I'm right up looking at the painting. It was a Picasso, I think. And at the point where the security guard was kind of like, "Lady, step back." But I had my hands down because I really would have touched. But if you really look at those really closely, you see all of their imperfections, lines that, like, you're like, you missed that mark. And yet it doesn't detract from it in any way. It actually makes it more. And so perfection is just, it's not really there.
Yeah.
It's when you look at what the masters have done, the ones that were just so prolific and incredible, their stuff has that. Or when you look at Frida Kahlo's, I'm like, wow, her stuff up close, the layers and the imperfections, that's what makes it.
Well, it's kind of like what we find beautiful too in human beings, right? I mean, they have tried to Photoshop the perfect human being where everything is like symmetric, right? And it's like, it's not appealing. When they showed it to people, we're like, that's not appealing. Like these little imperfections, which is kind of the wrong word, but that makes people, like, we feel that these people are like, that's beautiful. And if it's like this perfect or whatever someone thinks that might be perfect, you're like, yeah, that's boring. It's just boring.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I love seeing these. And also, I forgot what the name for it is. I should know. I just read it, but my brain is not the best anymore. You're getting there. But there is this, and I'm sure one of our viewers knows, or maybe there's this like Japanese philosophy and pottery and everything, is that something breaks or something doesn't really work, they put some gold on top of it to kind of like make that mistake stand out. I think that's such an amazing and beautiful way, because and looks gorgeous. Like you have these like a broken plate, and then they put it back together, and they emphasize that like line that was broken by putting some gold on there. And I think that's such an amazing philosophy. Like you kind of like embrace and like even like push that mistake, this imperfection out, and make that part of the whole thing and let it shine. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. And so many ways we've been trained to hide those imperfections.
Right.
But really, they're the thing. Yeah, I totally agree. They're the thing that make it cool.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. I had a great time, as always, with Caroline. Caroline, this video is going to air, I have to say that because you guys, you can see we're still in summertime, kind of. So this is going to be out at the end of November, December. So thinking that your people are knowing now, is there anything that's coming up you want to tell them to join classes, products, anything?
Wow. So you want me to see into the future?
Yeah.
Okay. Time travel. Well, there'll be play, there'll be fun, and I don't know exactly which one it'll be. So check out my newsletter at acolorfuljourney.com. I do have a free workshop called Permission to Play. It's going to shock you after this, right? That I'm all about the play. But whatever it is, there won't be a lot of rules, and if there are, you don't even have to follow them, and it's just color and play. So check it all out at acolorfuljourney.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Caroline. We can't wait to see your wonderful video for Creative Jumpstart 2019. Sign up through Caroline's link, and yeah, see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.